Okay, hey guys, we're on the fourth analysis video. This is for a song called Nardis. This song is freaking awesome. You should definitely look it up and listen to it. It just sounds great. It's really cool. Again, guys, hopefully you've been watching these videos in order. This one isn't really as hard as the others, but you should be getting the hang of how this kind of stuff kind of works right now. This one is actually pretty easy to analyze. There's a few pitfalls in here of weird things, but for the most part, it is relatively diatonic. Diatonic, guys, again, just means that like there's not many rules being broken. There are rules being broken, but there's not that many.
Pardon the interruption. Student Haley Mendez, if you're in the building, please stop at the main office before leaving. Haley Mendez, please stop at the main office.
Okay. So, again, guys, I really hope you've been reading those analysis notes because they just make this so much easier to do. All right, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to look at my key signature. 1 sharp is either G major or it's E minor. Let's see what we got. First chord is E minor, so there's some substantial evidence there. Oh, my God. And at the very end, we have E minor. So we are probably in the key of E minor, which is great. We haven't done one in a minor key yet. So I'm going to write out my scale up here. E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, right? 1 chord is going to be minor. 2 chord is going to be half diminished. 3 chord is going to be flat 3 major. 4 chord is going to be minor. 5 chord is probably going to be dominant. 6 chord is going to be flat 6 major. 7 chord is going to be flat 7. And that might be major or dominant. It's kind of up in the air. Yeah. So there we go. Let's start. Okay, we've got a 1 chord, E minor. Great. That's going to sound great. Now we have F major 7. Okay, so we already have a weird thing right off the bat. F major is not in the key of E minor at all, right? Because we have F sharp, not F natural. So let's put a question mark, come back to that. And then we have E major 7 in parentheses. I don't know what's going on there. Come back to that. B7. Is B supposed to be dominant? Yes, it is. So let's do that. It's good to go. Is C supposed to be a major 7 chord? It's the 6th chord. Yes, it is. So great. So far, we only have one kind of weird measure. We'll come back to it. A minor 7 is our 4 chord. That should be minor, so that's good to go there. F major 7. There's that weird chord again. What is going on there? And then finally, E major 7. Why do we have that? We're in the key of E minor, not E major, so we'll put a question mark above that. And then first ending, we have 1 chord, and second ending, we have 1 chord, okay? We'll come back to the question marks, don't worry. Going on, we have A minor 7, which is, you know, probably the 4 chord, right? It was a 4 chord earlier. F major, don't know what's going on there. Come back to it. Same thing here. And F major 7, 4 chord. Or F major, don't know what's going on. Skip ahead. D minor 7, G7, C major 7. So our D chord is not supposed to be minor, it's supposed to be major. G is supposed to be not supposed to be dominant. And C and F aren't really there. So this makes me think that something weird has happened. And we might have switched keys, okay? So again, with the analysis notes, guys, our most popular chord progression is a 2-5-1, which would be a minor 7 chord going to a dominant 7th chord. Let me erase that. I can do a much better job. We're looking for a minor 7 chord going to a dominant 7th chord going to a major 7 chord. If we see that, that's going to be a 2 chord going to a 5 chord going to a 1 chord, okay? Let's see if that's what we have. We have a minor 7, dominant 7, and major 7, so that's probably it, okay? So if that's being said, we might be in the key of C. So let's pretend this is 1. So in the key of C, these are my notes, right? Which means D would be 2 and G would be 5. And sure enough, that's what we have. So this is 2, 5, 1 in the key of C. So we are in C right here. Which means this F major kind of makes sense now as 4. So this is our 4 chord in the key of C. And 4 sounds great. 4 is a great thing to go to, okay? If we look down here at these last 2 lines, it's the same exact thing as the first 2 lines. So I don't really care about analyzing these. I'm going to ignore them. Okay, let's go back to these question marks. We did make sense out of F major 7 down here because we treat it as 4, but on the key of C. We couldn't really do that here in this key because we're not in the key of C. We're in the key of E minor. So let's figure this out. First thing I want to address and go over is this E major 7, okay? Now, if we're in a minor key, our 1 chord is minor, right? That's what it's supposed to be. But one of the rules that you're going to find out, and this I don't think this was really in the analysis notes, but what you're going to find is called borrowed harmony, okay? So borrowed harmony, guys, is when you take whatever quality would be there in a different tonality and use it instead. So, for example, the one chord in E minor is E minor. The one chord in E major is E major. So what they did right here and right here is they borrowed a different quality chord from the opposite tonality. So they went from E minor to E major really quick. Is this something that sounds good all the time? Absolutely not. It really only works in very, very specific cases. Let's hear what it sounds like in this case. Here's the first two lines. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Your second line. Okay, see how it sounds fine going from F major 7 to E? And then we switch really quick to E minor. Doesn't sound that bad at all, especially when we restart it. Okay. So we're learning today that we can borrow qualities from different things, okay? And this rule, guys, is kind of similar to the idea of the fact that dominant seventh chords can exist anywhere. You know, if we look at our scale up here, the idea of dominant seventh chords existing anywhere just means that any of these Roman numerals can just be dominant and the music just kind of works, you know? Like our 2 chord is supposed to be half diminished, right? But we could substitute that for F sharp 7 instead of F sharp minor 7 flat 5. Our 4 chord, which is A, is supposed to be A minor 7, but we could technically treat that as A7, and it still just is fine, you know. There's something about the presence and the weight that a dominant 7th chord holds that allows it to just kind of just show up anywhere, and it just kind of works, okay? So let's figure out this F major 7. What is going on here, okay? So one thing we haven't discussed yet, guys, is the idea of using modes in composition or modes in chord progressions, okay? So again, our modes are those different things, like Ionian is major, C major mode, right? Dorian is our D minor mode, which is a minor scale with a raised 6th. And there's E Phrygian, which is a minor scale with a lowered 2nd degree. Right? And then we have Lydian, which is a major scale with a raised 4th. Right? Then we have Mixolydian, which is a major scale with a lowered 7th, a dominant 7th. Then we have Aeolian, which is the same as minor. And then we have Locrian, which is half diminished, which we never use, okay? So, if we are thinking of modes here, one thing we might want to consider is the key of E minor, but treating it as E Phrygian, okay? In E Phrygian, guys, because we have that lowered 2 or the lowered 2nd degree, that scale would actually look like this. It would be E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, okay? As opposed to this one up here, which is E, F sharp, okay? So the difference between E natural minor or E Aeolian and Phrygian is the fact that the 2nd degree is lowered. Okay? So in this tune, guys, what you're hearing is you're actually hearing what's called or referred to as flat 2. And this is the indication that you might be in a Phrygian mode for your chord progression, which means that you're, where can I do this? I'll do it down here where we have room. If you're in Phrygian, guys, what you're going to see is you're going to see your 1 chord as minor, right? And then a half step away, you're going to see your 2 chord as flat. Flat doesn't have anything to do with the quality. It just means that it's a half step away. Half step away, so like E and F or C and D flat, or A and B flat. And your 2 chord is going to be a major chord, usually major 7. Okay, so for example, this could be A minor 7 going to B flat major 7. This could be C minor 7 going to D flat major 7. These are all indications of Phrygian. Okay, so check this out. I'll play you some examples. Here it is in the key of A. Here's in the key of C. Okay, it always wants to go back to that 1. So what we have in this piece, guys, is he's actually using Phrygian in his chord progression, okay? But he's treating it like borrowed harmony, which means he's using it and then he ditches it and goes back to regular minor, okay? So again, the only thing that would really change if you're using Phrygian would be that your 2 chord would be different. It'd be a half step lower and it'd be major. So our normal 2 chord is supposed to be F sharp, and it's supposed to be a half diminished chord. But we've lowered it a half step from F sharp to F, and we've changed the quality from minor 7 flat 5 or half diminished to major 7. So what we have here is a flat 2 major 7 chord. And over here we have flat 2 major 7 chord. Okay? Over here we have flat 2 major 7 chord. Now, because the song is so smooth, this F major 7 chord is treated as a flat 2 chord, as like a Phrygian kind of thing for the majority of the tune. But in this little part down here, in this bridge, we actually modulate to the key of C major for just 4 beats, or 4 measures, sorry. And in that context, because the F chord exists in the key of C naturally, and it exists in the key of E Phrygian naturally, we see it both ways, but it's treated differently, okay? Like, in the first example, if we play F, we want to go back to E, like this. Like, I couldn't end the song right here on this chord. It wants to go back to, right? In the bridge, when we modulate to C, it acts as a 4 chord, which also doesn't want to stay on 4, but it doesn't want to go back to E minor. So check this out. Here's C, here's F, right? If I did this, it could end there, but it doesn't sound like it's supposed to do that. What it sounds like it's supposed to do is something like this. Right? Like that sounds fine, because technically in this spot here, we are in the key of C, and that's why it's a 4 chord. So that's how this tune works, guys. So if we were to summarize all what we learned in this tune, we learned about borrowed harmony, which means borrowing parallel tonality from other keys, or from the same key. So we learned about borrowed harmony. Okay, we learned about using the modes as chord progressions, in this case Phrygian, right, which has 1 to flat major 2. It's a big deal with that. And we also learned about, I guess that was it actually. Yeah, it's a relatively simple tune. So guys, the only thing you would need to solo over this is the key. You would need to know the key of E minor, which is E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, and C major, which is just key of C. And half the time, when you're in C, or when you're in E minor, you're not even supposed to be playing the F sharp, you're supposed to be playing the F natural. So, actually, you know what, there's a little bit of E major, too. It doesn't happen that often, but this is where all the sharps are actually at, right? There's 4 sharps. So, to solo over Nardis, written and composed and performed by Miles Davis and Bill Evans, Jesus, just scroll. The only 3 scales you need to know to be really good at this are E major, which is 4 sharps, E minor, which is 1 sharp, and the key of C, which is 0 sharps. So, overall, pretty easy tune. Probably definitely a lot easier than Little Bow and easier than Ornithology for sure. Kind of ranks up there with My Funny Valentine. So anyway, guys, hope you're doing these really slow and being patient with yourself, patient with me. Again, sorry that we're learning this way. Obviously, this sucks. I know that, but it's nobody's fault, and this is just what we have to do. And I don't want to stop my instruction because I care about this too much, and I care about you guys too much, and I care about you learning this. So